be interesting.
Yeah. Are you ready? Wait.
Yeah.
Okay. Albert Nobbs, Man on Ledge, The Gray. Hey, everybody. This is the Post Movie Podcast. I'm Steve Head.
I'm John Black.
And on this episode, we're going to get all excited about Haywire and Man on a Ledge and Albert Nobbs. And John, stop me.
Nobbs.
Please.
You're all excited about the Nobbs. Wait, are we not going to get excited about the Gray?
I got to sneeze.
That's all right.
Oh, and The Gray.
Make it delicate. Oh, bless you.
I think I just got that from the post office.
You need a sneeze guard on your mic.
I was down at the post office, man, and I was standing there in the middle of like 30 people. You know, I had like 10 minutes to. I got to sneeze again.
Wow. This recording's getting off, bless you, to a roaring start.
I had like 10 minutes to mail a couple things, and I walked in and there's like 30 people in line.
Yeah.
Freaking. I just realized, like, standing there, wait a second. All of a sudden, I'm not feeling right. You know what I mean? Like, small post office, crowd of people, germs. And, man.
Well, it's better than farting in a coffee shop.
I don't think I'm, thanks, John. I don't think I'm I'm in any way a germ-phobic person.
Not until today.
But now it's like, after getting a lecture from a couple of people about how to, like, oh, wash your hands off of this, or don't touch this, make sure your hands are clean, and, you know, you won't get sick or something like that. And
I don't believe any of that.
Yeah, well, you know,
healthy as a horse.
Fucking post office, man. I had like 10 minutes to mail a couple of things, and the good old Coolidge Corner post office, each time you go down there, there's 10 people in line, and it takes a half hour, and I got to change the subject. Yes, The Gray. The Gray.
Should we talk about our favorite post office movies? I don't think I have one.
God, do they even make movies about the post office?
Sure they do. But they're thinly disguised as, like, you know, artsy fartsy.
I can't imagine a more
Il Postino?
uninteresting subject.
Yeah.
Good Lord. But, you know,
wait,
those guys,
we'll get some today.
They do what they do at their own speed, regardless of how many people are in line.
Government work.
And that's what they do, you know?
Wow. Steve's rant for the day.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, that's what happens after you take a 45 minutes out of your schedule to get on the T, go down to the post office, think place is packed, can't do anything.
Packed and full of germs. Germs, Steve, germs.
But you know what did happen?
No.
Well, Barrett donated $1.
Thanks, Barrett. See? That's why I quit my job.
We made money.
Finally.
Can you believe it?
And it's money imported from a foreign land.
How does PayPal do that? Canadian, it just works as $1, right?
No, I think they have to go through the exchange rate, so we probably got like 80 cents.
Really?
Yeah.
I think
Canada
it came
kicks
through
our
as
ass
$1,
now.
so I owe you 50 cents.
Pretty much. I don't want it in postage stamps because they're probably covered in your sneeze germs.
God.
So,
as timing goes, you know, I haven't sneezed in like weeks, and press record. Start sneezing, Steve.
I can hear the people logging off as this ramble goes on and on. Let's talk movies.
Yeah.
What do you want to start with? The Gray?
Yeah. We're gonna do The Gray, and then we're gonna do. Might as well talk about Haywire because we sort of. I mean, we skipped a week, but Bob Chipman and I recorded the best of 2011, and that's going to be split up into a couple of episodes. So I just published. I just published that one earlier today. I am so behind. I get it's like lots of opportunity for really good content. And then when it comes to creating the actual product, I get slowed up.
I love doing the interviews. Sometimes I hate sitting down to write them.
Yeah.
I had to write we talked to Elizabeth Banks,
yeah,
star of Man on a Ledge, the other day. Was it last Friday? Something like that?
It was, yeah.
And I had to write it today. And I just hated sitting down there and, you know, listening to that conversation. It was a good conversation. It was a good interview.
She taught me something.
Uh-oh.
About vertigo.
Yes.
And that everybody has it. It's just something you move into. And there have been 2 times in my life where I actually experienced vertigo.
Was one of the post office?
No.
Thank God.
I experienced vertigo within circular structures where the staircase surrounds the outer edge of the structure.
Uh-huh.
So once as a kid, when we went to Valley Forge or something like that, we were visiting this this World War II fort.
Yes,
and,
Valley Forge from World War II?
Or fucking Civil War fort or something.
Whatever.
I don't know, some revolutionary fort.
It was a fort.
Yeah, it was a fort from a couple hundred years ago. And And I, as a kid, was like, holy shit. I mean, I had like my back against the wall inching upwards in this fort where there's like no outer railing to this staircase. And then the other more recent time where I was actually a little like weirded out by vertigo was at the top, on the top floor of the Guggenheim in New York. Yeah. Where it's built in with the structure that goes spiral that goes up and a low railing on the outside. And when you get to the top floor, you can see the railing, you can see the whole floor of the building bouncing. It's it kind of weirded me out. That's vertigo, man.
Well, she doesn't have it. Well, she didn't give in.
Well, I don't think I have it. I mean, like I can go, hundreds of stories into the air and kind of lean over stuff and look down, from whatever tall building, and I'm not afraid of that. Yeah. But it's the circular structure thing that could be like 7 stories up or something, and that got to me a couple times. Weird. There's a weirdness. There's an element, there's an element of weirdness inside me that only has to be moved into.
There's a core of weirdness. So are we on the grade? Did we finish?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, we were talking about...
I don't even talk about the gray.
Well, we were just talking about, you do these interviews, and doing the interviews is so much fun. Yeah. And it's even worse. Like, I just did a phone interview with one of the stars of the gray, and I had a great conversation with this guy, and then I looked down, and I could barely read my handwriting.
Really?
I just have that problem.
You just got lost in the moment.
No, I just have the worst handwriting. Oh. But luckily, I still remember most of the conversation. It's not like anyone reads me, so I can make up shit, too.
I'll do an interview, and I'll look down, and I'll have to
I get
myself,
dizzy. When I make the spiral, if I draw a spiral on my pad, I pass out.
I've just moved into another world of interest.
I'll be writing that story tomorrow.
Talk about falling into a black hole. That's how I felt towards the end of The Gray. Boy, it lingered. Holy shit. I really loved this movie for about 60 minutes, and then it went on.
I loved it for about 6.
And on. What?
Yeah. See, part of it was I thought it was like a Wolfman movie, and it's not. It's like a survivalist movie.
You went into this with very little information.
Well, or expectations, but, it's a story, basically, of these yahoos up in Alaska who...
and they are yahoos.
Yeah, they're like the scum of the earth. And
heavy, manly drinkers.
Yeah, it's kind of like the crew at For the Thing, but like on steroids and whiskey.
Mm-hmm. And within half the intelligence.
Yeah, and they take a flight to Anchorage. I guess they get a weekend off or something. Plane goes down and they're trapped in...
You say plane goes down. I say one of the best plane crashes I've seen portrayed cinematically. That was good.
Well, yeah, but
we're
both
good.
Right. So then they're stuck in the tundra, frozen tundra, and a pack of wolves starts stalking them because they're in the wolves' hunting territory, and the wolves, the computer animated wolves, pick them off one by one.
I think what's important to say, though, is at the beginning of the film, we're introduced to the fact that Liam Neeson is employed as a wolf killer to keep these wolves at bay, or kill them if he must. And as we see at the beginning of the film, it turns out it's a must. Turns out that he has to blow one of these things away. And these are like giant mongoloid lion wolves. Yeah. They're not like, scary dog offshoots. These things are huge.
They don't look real.
It's the drama.
They're not as bad as the Twilight wolves that are kind of like soft and fuzzy with big teeth. These were at least had that energy and anger in them. Mm-hmm. So basically, it's a story about how these guys try to survive as the wolves pick them off one by one.
Yeah,
and they have a series of misadventures.
Yeah,
and I just was pretty bored with it pretty quickly.
You were pre-bored.
Yeah, I was. I went through the pre-boarding stage. Boring stage. My problem is that the story is kind of repetitive. It's just them being picked off by the wolves. But there's also the dialogue in this movie is just a bunch of dick measuring around a campfire. It's just guys.
I was hoping that when the plane crashed, there would be at least one female survivor, so there would be something to temper the
testosterone.
The testosterone.
No. Yeah. That Joe Carnahan doesn't do that.
Yeah,
he's the director. He doesn't do the female thing.
Also, knowing what I know about him as a director, I knew that this was going to be an empty endeavor. And that if you thought that this was going to turn out in a positive way, that these guys were really going to make.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I don't think it artistically earns that kind of bleakness. I just think I don't know. It's just bleak. It's just not. None of the characters are likable. They keep trying to give.
Well, I don't know
Liam Neeson
about
a
that.
backstory
It does go from point to point. I just think that it, the audience. I mean, expectations for it were like. I just became like I was really into it, and then it just drew too much.
Mm-hmm.
It just went too long. In drawing out certain things, and it just wallowing in fucking melodrama.
Macho melodrama. Yeah.
I mean, there were some really cool moments here, and I think a lot of people really like Liam Neeson's character.
Mm-hmm.
This is I guess some people say, well, there's a version of Nick Cage that I like, and then some people who are fans of Liam Neeson, and I don't think I am, but this is the Liam Neeson that they like.
I like the Liam Neeson from like Love Actually, the normal guy. He doesn't appeal to me as an action.
This is
hero
a movie
at
with
all.
very little happiness. It's a lot of brooding.
Yeah,
and
but for what reason? I mean, yes, they are crashed in
basically
the middle
survival.
of
They're shocked that they've actually survived this horrific plane crash, and then the wolves start picking them off. And then in a way, it's like any other action flick. We've got a number of guys, and it's like, who's going to buy it?
Right.
And one by one, the guys that you think that are going to buy it do.
Right. Right. Some of them are lucky enough to have long speeches that bore you to death while they die. That one guy, the inner city Latino guy.
Yeah.
The little inner city Latino cliche.
Also, it's like, who's going to be the leader of the group?
Yeah, who's the alpha male?
Right.
It's Liam
It's
Neeson.
it's the
He's
guy that
above
has the
title.
info. And then the other guys, after a couple of Wolfen examples, become subservient to Lamb.
Yeah, and then when they laid down and showed him their bellies, it was kind of funny. Rub me, Mr. Neeson. Rub me.
It just became so drawn out.
Yeah.
And I just was not down with the fact that they had to go through these, these personal obstacles that they've placed in front of themselves. Like, we have to cross the gorge.
Yeah.
We have to walk through the water. I don't know. Nobody had a compass, I guess. Yeah.
No, although they kept telling us this one guy had like some kind of GPS on a watch he took off a dead guy. And they keep bringing that up like it's going to be the thing that rescues him. It's like, oh, it's working still. Beep, beep, beep. It's good to 40,000 feet in the air. Beep, beep, beep.
Yeah.
It's just
I don't want to get totally negative on this film. I thought that there were some really cool scenes, especially with the wolf's breath.
Right.
And showing that before the wolves attack. And there's some cool point of view stuff. And
I give Conahan credit for actually filming it 400 miles from the Arctic, from the North Pole. It was filmed in the northern wilderness of, I think, British Columbia.
Yeah.
And
which guy did you interview?
I'm gonna forget his name. He was the asshole that talked about plane crashes while they're on the plane.
Oh yeah.
And the thing is, all right. So he's this. Can you look up his name? He's this guy who's like the loud asshole that's on the plane talking about plane crashes before it goes down.
Dallas Roberts, Joe Anderson,
and he was also in that movie The Crazies, where he was like the sheriff that talked about dying before he got killed. The guy's English. I had no idea he was
so neat about The Crazies is that he was such a good Southern hick or Midwestern that you had no idea that he was English.
I had no idea until they told me I was going to interview him.
That is convincing.
Laptop. I was like,
some guys can't get away with the American accent. Ewan McGregor in Haywire, I don't buy it.
Yeah,
he just can't do the American accent.
This guy's great, and when I talked to him, he was saying that when his parents are English theater people, and he knows people who speak properly all the time. But when he was a kid, he saw Indiana Jones, and he was like, that's the kind of movie I want to do. And if I want to do that kind of movie, I've got to do American accent.
Was Liam Neeson trying to do an American accent in this film? Because that's not happening. I think that was
no. You know why? Because the Latino cliche calls him a big Irish fuck.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, so they finally at least didn't try to make him be anything but what he is. It's just, this is a movie that's like, it seems marketed for 20-year-old boys.
Ultimately, I was just really disappointed with
The
it.
young critics really liked this. Greg went to this was when I was there. It was the second time he'd seen it.
Yeah, I know. And then at the end of the movie, some people were really digging it. Then others were like, "Give me a fucking break."
Yeah.
It ends like this.
Yeah, and then you stay through the credits for nothing.
Yeah, I had seen Greg Valente, who's been on the podcast with us before. I'd read his tweet or his Facebook update or something before going to see the film, and my expectation, I guess, was admittedly high,
Right,
a little higher after that. But it's Joe Carnahan is a fine filmmaker, and some things are real. He is. All right. Well,
the 18. Come on.
There.
He did a cut. I like Narc.
Yeah.
And I like Smoking Aces because it was so over the top crazy.
I did dig it.
But
are you really like did the A-Team pop the Joe Carnahan balloon for you?
Yeah, I didn't really have much of a balloon for him. I like Smoking Aces, but
I feel like
again,
he
it was so crazy.
He knew he had a career a long time ago.
Yeah.
Like he knew that this was it, and he had lots of opportunity, and he's going to be making these kick-ass films, and it's like it seemed like he knew and everyone knew that he had a future as a filmmaker, and he's going to be doing it. Like he's got talent.
Yeah.
Like people know that. It's just in a way it's like there's something about the gray that's too indulgent. I don't know how to put it, but it's
all balls, no
off.
brains. And the thing is, I wonder if it's, and this is something because I know Greg liked it a lot, and Greg's 21 years old. And I just think, I was trying to think of movies I saw in my 20s where guy movies that, the guys really spoke to me about bleakness. And, it's like the first time you read.
Oh my God. You know what I just thought of?
What?
It was supposed to be cool, but wasn't. Brubaker.
Oh,
the Robert Redford flick.
I never saw it.
Oh God.
But, there were those movies you see as a man in your 20s, and those characters really speak to you. And this is what it's like to be a man and all that. I think Greg tied into that, and I didn't because...
Greg.
Yeah, Greg.
Oh, I thought you said Craig.
Whatever. Valente. It's I think he tapped into that because he's a 21-year-old, sensitive guy who's looking for the meaning of life in his manly heroes.
We need a hero.
I didn't find it there. I just thought these guys were...
What about you and Mickey Rourke and the Pope of Greenwich Village?
Well, he was awesome and cool. Everything he said in that movie spoke to me. Of course, that's a perfect example.
How about Sean Penn in Bad Boys?
I have always not liked Sean Penn, so that's not going to work. But in Fast Times at Ridgemont High, he spoke to me.
I would have thought I would have done something stupid like Christopher Lambert in Highlander.
Yeah, but those movies when you're a young man, and that's just like, how old were you when you first saw Dirty Harry? He was so fucking cool. He still is. That's a good movie.
I don't think I ever saw Dirty Harry in the that came out in 1971, right?
Yeah, so
I was 6.
See, I was
so you had some time.
I was
but it's worth rediscovering.
Yeah.
I
was old enough.
Seeing if you haven't.
Bullet.
Yeah.
Cincinnati Kid. Almost any word that came out of Steve McQueen's mouth. It was just the coolness.
Yeah, wow. Steve McQueen in the Towering Inferno for me was.
Yeah, so it's when you see something like HUD for the first time. Oh, Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid. Those guys were cool.
John, I saw this poster for. I saw that. Well, let me take a step back. The bullshit nominations that came out the other day for
the Academy Awards.
Yeah. Okay. Saw an article. The 27 great films that were never nominated for Best Picture. One of them was Cool Hand Luke.
Yeah.
And the poster for Cool Hand Luke was actually so damn cool.
Yeah.
You look at this list of, films like, Cool Hand Luke and Rear Window and Vertigo and some other titles I can't remember at the moment that weren't nominated for Best Picture. It was just kind of blowing my mind. But anyway, there's a hero that you can identify with,
right?
Perhaps.
And those
Paul
movies
Newman.
also stand the test of time. I just watched The Hustler again.
Yeah.
I
was just thinking about that
and
today
he's
because
so
Piper
cool.
Laurie was so damn hot in that one.
But those movies
At
are
least I
also
think
well
so.
made. I don't think this has anything but that kind of posturing. It doesn't have any real substance to it. It tries hard to make you think there is, but for me there wasn't. Maybe for younger people there is.
Well, I think
Younger
that
men,
there
I should
definitely is something that other people identify who are a lot younger than me, and I realized that with the movie Garden State. That when 20-somethings saw that movie, and even some of the people I was working with, and they thought that this was all that, and to me it was just hollow bullshit.
Right.
Wait till you see what the future's really like.
Yeah.
Way you grow up a little.
But what was...
I mean, it sounds completely jerky.
Yeah.
But I don't find any depth to what Liam Neeson is doing in The Grey. I just don't.
They try to make him sound like he's some big, existential philosopher, and he's not. It's not that well written. I don't believe anything these guys are saying as far as any meaning beyond here's my line of dialogue and now a wolf eats me.
It's just a setup.
And
it was like The Killers. It's like a movie that's designed and set up to be cool,
and it isn't.
And it's unfortunately not.
Yeah.
The Killer Elite.
And the thing is, the way this film's written and the way it's shot, you can pretty much tell who's going to get killed next. Yeah. Like you said, it's like, oh, it's his turn. He put the red shirt on him. He's going to die.
Well, the characters are developed. You become attached to some of the other characters, but you know that they're fodder.
As soon as you become attached, they're like, oh, bye-bye. So, it was, I wouldn't watch it.
Just not excited about it.
No.
Just not excited about it. I was, but then I saw it, and now I'm not.
I wasn't until I talked to Ed Simkis, who loved it, and, Valenti saw it a second time.
I got to say again, though, I mean, like, halfway through the film, it just petered out.
Yeah.
It just faded out, But the setup, the plane crash, the initial couple of, confrontations with the wolves, and then it's like, come on, end this fucking thing.
Right.
Jesus.
Right.
Do
you think Talking Wolves would have made it better?
What, Talking Wolves?
Yeah, if the wolves talked, would it make it any better?
I think they should have smoked something and then had the wolves talk. Would have been great.
It's like in Wayne's World where he sees Jim Morrison and Sammy Davis Jr. in the desert, something like that. Because in
the Three Amigos when they show up and when they see the singing bush.
Yeah, anything like that would have at least broken the flat line of the whole feeling.
We got to move on to Haywire.
Okay,
Haywire. Let's just kill the wolf.
Kill the wolf.
Gina Carano, man. Wow.
Hubba.
But I think it takes someone like Steven Soderbergh to pull off something slick like this.
Right.
I mean, he's established himself in so many, different genres.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to get like, so many different genres. But he is
genres.
really, wow. He's just a talented filmmaker. And the execution of this film is what makes it good.
This could have been another Red Sonja with Brigitte Nielsen.
I don't know. I think the point here is that this because it's a female-led action film that, it kind of has, there's like a fine line. It's hovering over this trapdoor of absurdity, and it didn't fall into it.
Right.
Like it, and at certain moments during the film, it just could have been stupid. And they avoided the pitfalls.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like Salt was cool, although it had some absurdity. Obviously,
right?
It was just
one of the things, the absurdities of the Salt is, even though Jolie might have done a lot of her own stunts, you never got the feeling she was really doing anything but fake fighting. Carano,
she's brave,
is an
but
MMA
I don't think she seems kind
champion.
of a frail individual. Gina Carano is like made of stone.
Have you ever seen her fight?
No.
You should. Everyone, YouTuber, watch her fight. That's when I knew I'd heard of her, but I wasn't making the connection when I saw the trailers. And when she appears on the screen, I was like, oh, I saw her beat the shit out of another woman in an MMA fight. I mean, just literally beat the shit out of this woman.
You know what? I take that back. I think I saw an episode of Tap Out with her.
Uh-huh. She's a good fighter.
Yeah, she's really, she can destroy.
Yeah.
But she's also very feminine, which is...
She looks good in the dress.
Maybe that's why. That's why they cast her.
But do you think she was
the role?
Do you think? Her
she looked
acting...
great in the dress. I don't know why she was saying to belittling the dress, saying like, "Oh, the guy should wear the dress when they do this." This spy setup.
Besides that fight ends on the perfect note.
John, okay, that scene was insane, and it totally changes. Like when you look at the poster of the film. Mm-hmm. Totally changes. You look at that poster and you're like, "Oh fuck!"
Yeah,
you would never think this looking at the poster without having seen the movie.
That's Soderbergh's second greatest scene this year.
I mean, just look at that poster, and you're like, "Oh shit, that doesn't end well."
The end of that fight changes everything about watching that movie.
Yeah. It's kind of like the poster doesn't say anything,
right?
Until and then you see the movie. I mean, I guess it's a little auspicious, but then you.
So anyway, the basic plot is she's gun for hire. assassin.
She works for a company,
black op government agency or something. They were involved in what she thought was a hostage rescue in Spain. It turns out to be, there's many layers of plot here. Everyone's setting everyone else up. She was involved in this operation. It went bad, and now the other people that are involved in it are basically coming after her to clean the slate of everyone.
She was supposed to be wiped out.
Yeah.
And it's one of those, you got to pick up all your loose pieces kind of things.
Right.
So
it's a familiar plot for this kind of film, but well done.
The fella who she trusted, played by Ewan McGregor, gets her to go to, where do they go? They go to Dublin?
Yes.
To just do a short cover operation where they pose she's going to pose with Michael Fassbender as like a power couple. And of course, it doesn't go as planned.
Right.
It's basically just a plan to kill her.
Yeah, like all agents in this movie, she's like, that was her last operation. She wants out. She's tired of the business. And then there's like, one more operation, just one more, But
and then it keeps going back where she's on the run, but she's got to figure out how to, Actually, I think the first half hour of the film is just basically a flashback. It starts off in present time where she's in the diner, where Channing Tatum, who's her actual boyfriend, the guy she likes, which is kind of weird in the way that they have this fight at the beginning of the movie, but it turns out she has feelings for the guy. She does, believe it or not.
I don't know if she had.
It's a little like, I don't want to get into spoiler territory.
I
but
wouldn't
it's
get all
convoluted.
romantic about their relationship. I don't think they were a boyfriend girlfriend lovey dovey. I think they just.
Do you think that they were the kind of couple that like did that kind of fighting because they digged it?
That's something
as a couple. That's what they loved.
I don't know about that.
Well, considering how things kind of unravel in the film.
That's true.
And it comes back to Bill Paxton's place. He plays
and don't you just
Mallory's father.
Don't you just love seeing Bill Paxton in movies? I don't
do.
see enough of him. He's been stuck in that HBO Mormon thing for too long.
Yeah.
I just love it when he shows up in a movie.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a time,
Yeah.
Did everything peak for him with Twister? He should have done another action film after that. But
I don't know. He directed a pretty decent horror movie himself.
Okay. Mr. Martini Ranch.
Yep.
Everybody, if you haven't seen it, go to YouTube and check out the Martini Ranch music video directed by James Cameron.
Okay.
That you will love.
The fights in this movie are very well shot.
Yeah.
And Carano is a very athletic actor.
She's got it.
Yeah.
She has the athleticism, obviously. That's why she got cast. But she's got the looks.
Yeah.
And the acting ability. So, we'll see her again. I have a feeling she's going to turn up in some sort of like Marvel superhero or something in the future.
That's the thing. Do you think this is the kind of film that was just packaged around her, or are we going to see her in like Jane Eyre?
I think that I don't know how many women. I can't think of any really. I mean, I know that this movie can be made, but convincingly, is there another woman in Hollywood who can do what she's doing?
No, I just wonder for next. I liked
Probably.
her in this movie,
but
when we see her again, is she going to be in petticoats and ringlets, waltzing in a banquet room?
Well, the way she sells is with action. So
yeah, and that's fine. Yeah. Because woman or not, there's a dearth of action movie stars these days.
Well, you know what it is. You know what it actually is. It's an action movie that isn't the action movie through the goggles of a fanboy.
Right.
In other words, you've got like Mila Jovovich and her Resident Evil films that are made by her husband.
Right.
You've got what's her name, Kate Beckinsale in the Underworld films, which are produced by her husband.
Right.
You've got I'm thinking Sucker Punch, which Bob and I talked about to some extent in the best of 2011. It's like
movie?
This is like female action done with sort of like with the TNA angle. There's none of that here.
Right.
This is just an action movie that happens to star a woman.
Right. Because even though we did comment that she looks great in the dress,
right.
There's also, I'm aroused and terrified at the same time.
This is actually, it's sort of a movie that like Elektra could have been.
Right.
Except that they just up the whole sexual thing with Jennifer Garner, and then the movie becomes a
when you think of Underworld
or Catwoman, becomes a
right.
joke.
You think of Catwoman, Underworld, any of those films. Well, maybe not Resolution, but Underworld films and Catwoman stuff like that. I think of how hot they look in leather, not about the action.
Yeah,
I don't
here.
think about
Here,
any
it's
of
the
action.
action.
It's all about,
and then
the
it's how
action.
sexy she is doing the action.
Yeah, but I would, I don't want to get all busy with her and have her put a pillow over my face.
Yeah,
I just don't.
She's dangerous.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Are we good with Haywire? Oh, one last thing I want to say. The score for the movie. I think David Holmes.
I don't know.
Who also scored the Ocean 11 movies. It's a terrific soundtrack to the film.
You would have been proud of me because this afternoon's movie I actually recognized some of the music. I was like, oh, I'm getting a soundtrack knowledge.
Good for you, John.
Yeah, it's a stuff, but it's music stuff. I already knew.
It is the heart and emotion of the cinematic experience.
It can be. It's not always. Sometimes you're just like, why are they playing this music? Yeah, so let's I would recommend Haywire.
Yeah, me too. Gotta see it. What do we got now?
Man.
Oh, right. Man on a Ledge. That was a cool film.
Did you
Very forgettable though, but
did you know
cool.
anything about this movie before you went in?
No.
I did.
No.
There was a man on a ledge.
I just figured that this was going to be like Phone Booth on a Ledge.
Oh my God, Phone Booth! Wasn't that an awesome movie? Think of it. Joel Schumacher made a movie that was basically him staring at Colin Farrell in a phone booth.
Yeah.
It was like this homoerotica fanboy. I want a fucking
24.
movie, and then I can't leave the phone booth. that was.
In the very last year that you possibly could have made a movie about a phone booth.
Yeah.
I think they're only required by law if they still exist.
Anyway, the Man on a Ledge is much better than Phone Booth.
I enjoyed it. But it's just kind of like
it's
going to be a great video rental, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Video rental.
And we should let listeners know we did have a chance to talk to Elizabeth Banks.
Yes,
and we're going to post the interview sometime.
So have we been tainted?
No,
because she's so incredibly good-looking, and the haze of being in her presence has possibly warped our impression of the film.
No, no, that's only happened. Well, it's happened, but not for this. Sometimes it does. Sometimes. Well, even that. Not only it's not just having our minds or opinions warped by the presence. It's also, sometimes you see a movie and you're kind of on the fence about it, or you don't really like it, but you still have to talk to who made it.
Yeah.
And then after talking to him, you're like, wow, I should give it a second shot.
Yeah.
Or the opposite can happen. You really like it, and you talk to him, and you realize this guy's an asshole.
I guess I'm a little more impressed by the fact that they actually did film this on the 14th floor of a building.
Yeah, 220 feet in the air. And I think the real star of this movie are the cameramen.
The way the camera was swinging around and flipping it over the top, and that was pretty cool.
And it's basically this is the kind of movie you don't want to give away much more beyond the fact that there's a guy on the ledge, and Elizabeth Banks is the police negotiator who comes to try to talk him in.
Yeah, and her life's not that together. I mean, she's basically like almost can't get out of bed, needs coffee to get going, and then everything. She's a Serbic.
She's what?
A Serbic. Jaded by life.
Oh yes, we.
Yeah.
And so there's other subplots going on, and there's other things going on. Part of the fun of the movie was watching what would happen next. It's kind of predictable.
It's like if we get into why he's on the ledge, then it's like spoiler territory.
Right. But we can't say
it's almost like there's this whole other side story that we can't even talk about.
Right.
Because as soon as we start talking about the side story, then it gives away why he's on the ledge.
Yeah.
So
we won't.
Damn.
But we want people to go see it, so we'll just whet their appetites.
Right.
Sam Worthington is the guy on the ledge.
Yeah.
Pretty good. I'm a little sick of him. He seems to be in everything.
It's really his movie. He's making a living.
And how I just talked about how good it is to see
who's that Australian actor that was in Warrior? Joel Edgerton. I get Joel Edgerton and Sam Worthington mixed up. They're like interchangeable.
Because they're Australians.
I know they're totally different. I just whatever. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I was just saying.
Go ahead. You were saying.
I was just saying how good it is to see Bill Paxton in a movie.
Yeah.
Ed Burns is a cop in this movie, and I love watching Ed Burns as a cop. A New York cop.
I think he's a good supporting actor.
Yeah, he plays well with Elizabeth Banks. Their scenes
Yeah.
are my favorites. As far as just dialogue goes, they do a good job.
He really is always 2 seconds away from some wise-ass comment.
Yeah.
It's kind of whiny Irish wise-ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's what his career is based on, so
Exactly.
I kind of agree. Who plays the other young lady, the fetching young lady in this movie?
Genesis Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Can we get a hey?
Where did that come from?
Her. I want to
Wow.
just shake her daddy's hand.
This is like new Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Entrapment?
And better.
Entrapment butt shot?
Entrapment, but better.
I don't know.
She's something, man.
Yeah.
Let's see some more of her.
But she was actually fun in a fully developed, and
Yes.
fully
yes.
developed
A supporting character who really was rounded.
in all the right places.
Yes. Indeed.
Yeah, she was, and she added nice little comic relief to the tension scenes and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I've ever seen her before in anything.
I hadn't. That's why I was sort of
Yeah.
like, where the hell did she come from?
Yeah, and Jamie Bell plays her boyfriend, and he's okay,
He's got the American accent down.
Yeah,
He does sell it.
yeah.
You know.
When was the last time you saw Billy Elliot?
I've never seen Billy Elliot.
Really?
Yeah.
You should, because it's him as a little kid.
When
It's
Steven
funny.
Seagal told me in an interview that was his favorite film,
What?
I just thought, I have no interest in Billy Elliot.
Steven Seagal said that was his
When I
favorite
interviewed him
movie?
for Exit Wounds,
What was that like
many
to
years
interview
ago.
him? Was he a dick?
Sort of. He's an imposing guy, and you have a strong sense of like, he gives you this really strong sense of, don't waste my time.
Yeah.
Look, but it's also like talking with Steven Seagal is. I constantly was wondering like whether he really cared about what he was talking about.
Right.
So it was that kind of strange. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like he's talking to you, but you don't feel like he's talking to you because he's not like, you don't feel like he's on the level with you. I mean, I think he plays these characters in these films, and he's real that way. I mean, he's like a real like. He can be an incredible asshole, and I certainly wouldn't want him to get angry at me. But he's kind of like that. He's kind of like that in real life.
Huh.
So I mean, I guess that's why when he said Billy Elliot, I was sort of like,
You're right.
taken aback. Well, I didn't expect that.
You're going to be disappointed. Do you think it's going to be like Exit Wounds, the dance, or something?
Something.
Like that?
Yeah, I was expecting something like that.
The only time I came close to that was I did a phone with Chuck Norris.
Really?
And he's kind of like a born-again nice guy, because he'd been doing Walker, Texas Ranger for decades, and he's more like that, the soft-spoken, born-again cowboy guy.
Mm-hmm.
And it was right after, you remember, that website that has all those Chuck Norris sayings on it?
Yeah.
Yeah, this, and I brought that up to him, and he goes, yeah, those are pretty funny.
So is this like, what I'm thinking is, were you nervous before talking to Chuck Norris?
No.
Or did you think it was going to be a little weird? Because I thought, like, me talking with Steven Seagal was like, okay, I'll do it. And we'll see what happens. And
no, it's just
a little,
that
some people you
generation
feel comfortable with talking to in a room. Some you don't.
No, that generation of action heroes, though, it's like if I had ever had a chance to talk to Charles Bronson, or McQueen, or the only times I've talked to Stallone, he's been a goofball. It's more
well, Charles Bronson has an action edge to him.
Yeah,
that I think really stuck with him, and makes you think. It makes you as a fan of his films a little wary of him, because he plays like the dangerous vigilante character. It's It's like I'm sure Clint Eastwood is a super nice guy. Everybody, he really is. But this the vigilante image of like Steven Seagal and Charles Bronson or something like that it sort of gets in the way. But Charles Bronson is look at his career, real actor. You know what I mean? It's just that you move into the stuff that sells tickets, that the people will hire you for.
That's why you do Death Wish 4. There's no reason to, but you do Death Wish 4. All right, so we done with Man on the Ledge?
Well, I was just looking at
that picture of that
Genesis
girl again?
Rodriguez. Entourage is on her resume.
Are you going to post her picture on the site? Just hers, like.
I'll do it.
Yeah,
I'll do that.
I don't know if they have any good ones. I had to post my Elizabeth Banks. It's great pictures of her.
Yeah.
I don't remember the pink underwear shot.
You know what's great about Elizabeth Banks? She just has this feeling like when she's involved in something, it ups it because she's like excited and gung ho.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's like there's a certain vivacity that she has. Like,
yeah,
let's go for it. Let's see how it works.
But completely normal meeting her. I mean, she's very attractive, but she just seemed pretty normal too. That's growing up in Pittsfield will do that to you.
Yeah,
I guess.
Pittsfield, for those who don't know, is in the far western side of Massachusetts.
Something like that. Yeah.
There.
I've never been there.
Hey, let's get on to Albert Nobbs.
Nobbs. We had different reactions, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
think I missed the plague. I just stepped out of the theater for a couple minutes. And
that's right, you did.
I missed the plague.
You did. You missed a big emotional turning point.
Oh, good Lord.
I really like this a lot. And, the thing is, it's Glenn Close playing a woman who pretends to be a man during Depression-era Ireland, or England, Ireland, right? And she works as a butler in his hotel and is trying to save up money to buy a tobacco shop and a life of her own. And, something we talked about right afterwards, there wasn't a moment I ever believed Glenn Close was a man in this movie.
Oh, I didn't believe for a second that she was a man.
But I think that's one of the things I liked about it, because even though I never believed she was a man, I believed in the character of Albert Nobbs.
Yes, but then if you just expand your consciousness to what other people on the screen are thinking, and you think, how in the world are they being sold on the idea that this is a man, or do they think that it's not a man but they're just letting it go? But obviously they think she's a man, so it's like you think, what are these people, dumb?
That didn't bother me. I let that go.
It hasn't bothered a lot of people. I think a lot of people are overlooking that.
Yeah, and there's another character in the movie, a house painter.
Yeah, and I have to say, and I want to say right away, that when you see this person, you think to yourself, well, it's not a man.
See, I
immediately thought that.
I didn't.
I don't know how maybe, I don't know what it is.
No,
no surprise to me.
I was surprised by the big reveal.
There is a big reveal, but I thought there was going to be a reverse reveal. I thought one of the women were going to reveal themselves to be a man.
The chick suddenly pulls out a penis.
It's no surprise.
Yeah,
it was no surprise. I just sorry to rain on everyone's parade.
The story wasn't as interesting to me as the performances in this movie. I just had a blast with it. I thought Close gave a wonderful performance.
Yeah.
And it's always the little things with Glenn Close. Remember in Dangerous Liaisons?
It's a lot of little things in this movie, but yeah.
But when she gives the best breakdown scene I've ever in Dangerous Liaisons. It's just these little things she does. And in this movie, there's a scene where Albert Nobbs puts on a dress and goes out.
And for a brief moment,
yeah,
you see some real femininity.
Yeah, when she runs on the beach.
Just freedom.
Yeah,
something.
That was movie magic to me. That was perfect. That made the movie for me. The rest of the stuff, I followed it along, but there's moments like that really made the movie work for me. So I fell for it.
So Albert Nobbs is this is a butler in a hotel in Dublin, and has everybody there thinking that he's basically she has lived his life as a man since I think she was 14, and they go into the story of it wasn't that she was gay, it's just that an opportunity came up that if she dressed as a man to get this job at I think it was an event at the Freemasons that she'd make the money.
Right.
So she put on the clothes, applied for the job, got the job, and just stuck with that.
Yeah.
But she also is, she was orphaned. She didn't have a role model. She didn't have anyone giving her real trustworthy guidance. So she stuck with the trappings of a man in order to get, employment.
Right, and at the same time, she was abused as a 14-year-old girl by 5 guys.
Yeah.
And that damaged her in ways she still can't figure out. Because this isn't about her being gay and looking for love that way. I don't think she wants sex. I just think she wants love. And she's not really making the connection that because she's a woman trying to fall in love with other women, she has to be gay for that to happen.
I think that it was more like she used being a man to make a living, and that you could use the trapping of having a family and other acquaintances, a relationship, to further that living, to really make a more profitable business, which is she wants to have she dreams of having a cigar shop, so she's literally hiding every bit of change she makes from her hotel job under the floorboards of her bedroom, to make this happen. But she can't make it happen by herself, so one of the maids in the hotel she imagines being able to do this with. However, she doesn't really have the she's socially inept. I mean, she knows how to serve people and do her job in a fastidious, just a perfect way. But when it comes to actually relating to other people, that's a whole, you don't turn it on and off. And I think Mia Wasikowska's character, she plays the one of the maids in the young maid in the hotel. She teaches Albert this. Mm-hmm. She teaches her about like what a woman wants or how you relate to someone.
Right.
And but it's done in such a way that like so much was being blown up into a potential explosion because Albert was trying to woo her in a way that he thought he could. That just over a matter of time, that it could happen and they could be together. But she was sort of using Albert at the behest of her actual boyfriend, who's kind of a jerk, played by Aaron Johnson,
and even
the guy from Kick-Ass, to just get some things like chocolate, wine, money basically
money
just
to go to
using
America.
Her. Yeah,
but
exactly.
When the young maid is trying to teach Albert these things, thinking he's just a queer little old man who, doesn't understand the world, or is such in a shell or something. It's not like she's trying to teach Albert knowing the secret.
It's like two extremes. It's like he represents the guy that Mia Wasikowska wants. Mm-hmm. He's like the young, good-looking guy, and that's everything that she wants. And she thinks is awesome. Except there's this other side of him that like is volatile.
Right.
It's the volatile male thing here that kind of gets like blown out of proportion.
Yeah.
And then there's this other person in I forget Mia Wasikowska's character's name, or her character's name, but Albert represents like, if she chooses to stay with him in Ireland, they have this he can take care of her.
Right. Well,
it's just that Aaron Johnson's character, he Joe can't take care of her.
Right, but the maid character isn't exactly the brightest bulb in Ireland. She's a pretty dumb girl, young and dumb. She's not world wise or anything. She got caught up in a bad situation. Yeah, she's a young girl, and I think she plays it very well. I mean, she's not stupid, but she's naive. Again, I think that weaves in nicely with what's going on.
Albert
Nobbs
also learns quite a bit from
the painter.
The painter,
yes,
played by Janet McTeer.
Have you ever?
Just the actress's name is a giveaway.
Yeah,
but the painter actually teaches Albert that there's certain things you can do to continue with this life that you've chosen to lead and have a better life.
Right.
If you're not.
But I don't think
totally out there and in everybody's face about it.
I never thought Albert got his head around the idea that the painter was married.
No, that's a real seemed like for Albert that was like unfathomable to him.
Yeah.
So there's a scene where Albert goes back to the painter comes, paints a room in the house, and then goes off to his home. I forget exactly where. Albert visits for a weekend or an evening and is introduced to the painter's wife. His wife is a very effeminate woman, real woman. But Albert just couldn't wrap his head around the fact that this was happening.
Yeah, because there's sex, and Albert doesn't the only sexual experience Albert has is being gangbanged when she was 14.
Yeah.
You know, so the idea that there's love between two women and they're covering it up by having one pretend she's a man fascinates her and confuses her. And
it's a confusing mechanic.
Because when
I think
the plague comes and well, it's not really a spoiler, but, you know, the wife dies, Albert thinks he can just move in and they can live like men.
I think it's totally exemplified in when Albert decides he's going to kiss Mia Wasikowska, and then she shows her how she likes to be kissed. Like,
right.
This is what you do. I mean, Albert's just not. He's well intentioned and everything, but not compatible to what she wanted.
He's had no physical contact,
right? Or this could be the
contact.
kind of life one. I guess what I'm trying to say is that Albert is someone who's so sublimated because he hasn't had physical contact.
When you think of Mia Wasikowska, when you think of her, do you picture sitting around the fire drinking tea? No, I would hope not. But
no.
that's what Albert doesn't see a physical,
His dream
desirable
of her,
woman.
yes.
He sees a home. He sees, finishing the day of work and coming home and having
He didn't
tea.
imagine seeing. He didn't envision her sexually.
No,
his vision of her is working the counter at the cigar shop.
It's very asexual, and then sitting around and chatting afterwards. It never enters the bedroom. It always stays in the parlor. Because Albert's just damaged that way.
A damaged good man.
Yes, that's a woman.
I just didn't get over why people just didn't see that who was a man and who was a woman. I mean, but inevitably you have two just incredible, wonderful performances from Glenn Close and Janet McTeer, who plays the painter.
And even though it's a minor role, Brendan Gleeson, come on, is the doctor.
Oh yeah, Brendan Gleeson. And also in a microcosmic kind of way, Jonathan Rhys Meyers.
Right.
Everything as the rich guy who actually is gay and spends the night, at the hotel so he can have his gay tryst.
Right. And he's all about sensuality, so.
Yeah. Well, I think we're good.
Oh, we're better than good.
That was four films. Usually a four-film show that kind of
more or less.
Except I'd say The Gray was on the bottom rung of it.
Yeah. All right, I didn't like The
I
Gray.
really still wanted to like it, but didn't.
Talking Wolves have made it better.
Did we thank Barrett?
Oh, profusely. He gave us $1. I'm not going to really dedicate a whole show to him.
If anybody else wants to donate $1, the link is there.
Beat Barrett. We could have the Beat Barrett campaign. And he gave Canadian money, so give us $2. Not Canadian. Not loonies. Although, now do we have to go on Barrett's website and give him money now?
Oh.
He does something called fightingwords.ca, which is a mixed martial arts website, and it's a great site because I know nothing about MMA. Nothing.
He probably knows all about Gina Carano then.
Oh, yeah. He's, when he saw The Warrior, I was getting updates. Like, he was updating his site every 3 minutes
Which
about
Dan
Warrior.
Kimmel says is like the worst movie of the year. I just saw on Facebook today after I posted about the bullshit Academy Award nominations.
He disliked that more than he hated Bridesmaids?
Yeah.
Hard to believe. But anyway, the best thing people can do besides send Barrett money is to go to fightingwords.ca because
send us money.
He's a good writer too. He's a funny guy. So it makes MMA interesting, and I'm not into it. So I would highly recommend people go see it.
And if anybody wants to get in touch with us, and
my number is 555.
Just take us to task for any of the bullshit that we're putting into these microphones.
Yeah, it's a big job.
Yeah. Just whatever. It's at contact@post-movie.net. And all of our episodes, we're online at post-movie.net, and we're on iTunes. If you subscribe there, that would be great. And if you leave a review, we haven't had a review in a while.
Guess what's on my computer now?
A lot of people get reviews on iTunes.
Guess what's on my computer now?
What?
iTunes.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I don't know how to work it, but I downloaded it.
You can start downloading some episodes.
I
get a fair number of downloads.
I just go on the site and listen to them. I can listen to them through my BlackBerry, which makes me laugh because I'll be on the subway hearing my own voice in my head. Isn't that how, like, Sirhan and these other people kill people? There's a voice in my head telling me to do it.
Go see Haywire.
Go see Albert Nobbs.
Yeah, both of them. Until next time, I'm Steve Head.
I'm John Black.
So long, everybody.